Is it just gonna get worse, worse, and worse on this planet for us and our children and our children's children? Is it gonna get more and more warlike and nefarious? And are we going to be hurting each other for aeons to come as we evolve technologically but not emotionally? Or is there more possible? Is it possible that humans, not just individuals, because you and I, we feel our hearts, yes? We're here because we feel, and we long to awaken, to fully remember and be, and have us all be what we deeply and truly are. Is that way of being possible for the entire planet, an entire civilization of heart-centered, awakened love consciousness? To put some context into this conversation, I have a first-person perspective. I am Sammy. I am 5 years old. I have my life and the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm going for, my process and my emotions, and this is what I want and this is what I don't want. I'm here. I am in this experience. I'm in it. I'm Sammy, looking out as Sammy all the time. And so are we all. You're a first person meeting my first person. Here we are. And if we zoom out of that, I am not just this one life, and that's something I don't remember a lot of the times, but when I do, I do. I am not just Sammy in this body in this lifetime, and that's all I've ever been. I am on a multi-lifetime arc of experience as a soul who every single lifetime forgets that I'm doing that. And it's a little frustrating, isn't it? Hundreds, thousands, perhaps, of lifetimes have I lived, have you lived as this soul entity beingness from unity consciousness, let's say. And maybe these words don't resonate, or maybe they do. Maybe it's like kind of cerebral, maybe it's not a felt experience, but what if, right? What if that was real? This is the framework that I've resonated with for a good while now, through my awakenings that I've experienced in my lifetime as first-person Sammy. And let's zoom out even more. Beyond that level of I'm a soul on a multi-life journey, where did that soul come from? Right? That soul is part of a even bigger experience who, let's say that bigger oversoul was like, hey, I'm gonna go be an individuated soul and have a multi-life experience as a single being. Whoa, crazy! Who knew we could do that? Because this oversoul, I think of as us. As us. It's our soul. It's the soul of humanity. It's where you and me and every single being on this planet doesn't have any separation in our consciousness. We just are one being. I have had meditations where I remember what it's like to be in group consciousness that's oneness, where my thought is our thought. And it was the most peaceful, blissful, a still pond with not a single ripple on it, because we all chose and we all had the ability, to choose anything different in any moment. And we continue to choose just beingness because it was bliss. Why would I choose something different when it's just bliss to be in this oneness? In my framework of reality, that's what's true. I'm an individual being. My soul that I am equally is on a multi-life journey arc, experiencing a story and a progression of a linear time, although it's non-linear. And then we move up into the oversoul, which is us, where we come from, and and from there is where we wanted to have this iterated down experience. And then that oversoul, of course, is part of a larger oversoul that is multi-planetary, that is multi-dimensional, that is beyond just Earth. So it just keeps going in all these different iterations, and ultimately we're everything, we're all of it, we're source. And source, from my own personal experience, is in a word, it's love, it's joy, it's just love. It's undefinable and it's not comprehensible at all to the human mind, to my mind. But in the experiences that I've had of Source speaking through me, being me, exploding through the cells of my body, was so much love that, and I only got like the little, like the, you know, a 0.1% of it or whatever. And I was just, it was a big experience. And so love, we'll say as a word, is us, is this, created this, and had us from iterations down choose to become this experience. Why? Why did we do this? Why would we come to this place of suffering? And that's maybe the topic for a different video, but in short, I would say to experience it, to really, truly, God, its source, coming down to not just be everything, but to know intimately everything. And we are trying everything, aren't we? And it sucks. Oh, yeah. I'm laying out the context because it's important for me to know who and what we are. There's a greater context available to see, well, what's happening on the planet right now? What if this has happened before on other planets in other lifetimes? Because I am not from Earth. I'm from Earth. I'm a human on Earth. I've had a few lifetimes here. I think I've had 8 lifetimes on Earth. Very few relative to, I mean, I don't have no wrinkly hands. You ever meet people who are so wise, or maybe yourself, and they're just like, their hands are like ancient looking, but they're young? Yeah, I have had maybe 8 lifetimes on Earth, and yet I also have experiences, memories, flashbacks, a deep sense and reflections of others that, hey, I'm not a new soul. I'm just new to Earth. In my framework, in my storyline, which I try not to get too serious about, is that I had my multi-life, hundreds, thousands, perhaps lifetimes on a different planet in our galaxy that went through the dark ages, all the way through the technological expansion, and yet kept on with our deep, separate, warring ways. And it got really, really bad. It's like if planet Earth kept going in this really negative trajectory of control and power, but we kept getting more and more advanced. It's like that's what some of us on a soul level have gone through on other planets. And you know what happened on those other planets? We didn't annihilate ourselves. We woke up through our hearts, through remembering what we actually are, through that suffering, because that is inevitable. There's no other way about it. We can prolong the experience of being separate, of being power over, under, of suffering, of creating a reality where it's not very pleasant for anybody. And that's part of what we're doing as God's self, learning through every single experience. What am I truly embodied? And it is inevitable because love is, because source is, because in those higher frequencies of vibration, of levels on the soul level, there is not war. There can't be, because it's so beautiful and bright, and I don't have the words right now to describe it, except that it cannot be. It doesn't exist. This suffering part is only part of this iterated down experience that we get to try out here. The more that you and I connect with our truth and our hearts, and I have acceptance, practice acceptance, I practice trusting that there is a greater flow and a purpose here, in being here, in doing this, and that there is this thing called synchronicity where I think this thought and then this thing happens, or I think about someone and then they call me. Or I'd start noticing patterns and themes in my life, and look, that's curious how that happened, and then this happened, and then this happens. And I must be on a journey that's beyond my human mind's comprehension to understand at this time. And so the more I trust deeply in that, the more magic happens. And I have seen that it is possible and inevitable, guaranteed, that humanity wakes up into our hearts, into, the actual embodied, knowing sense of interconnection, that I am you at a higher dimension, and that dimension is not higher when it's just here, it's just us, it's just what we're becoming. And this process, though it can look dire right now, it can look so dire when we see there's wars happening now, and there's just more devastation in the jungle and the forest, and more greed, and it's just total chaos. And this can be a pivotal moment, building a climax. We're building to a climax. And through that climax, so many of us can awaken and are awakening. And the more that I think that you and I connect in this way with our hearts, with our truth, validating our experiences, validating my experience and your experience of, yes, I am a soul. And I'm living more and more as that soul being and that soul knowing, while staying here as a human as well. I'm a human. I am definitely a human, and I have bills, and I have this and that and the other thing going on in my life that needs to be taken care of, and I am a soul on a multi-life journey, a multi-life arc. That's part of a soul group. That is us. And I can connect to that soul group, to us, as us, and feel the white light, beautiful, radiant essence that's pure, that's joyous, that's creating this together. And it's through every one of our hearts and our interconnection that we awaken into a new paradigm that is possible and inevitable, in my view. I hope that this video has left you feeling more connected to who you really are, connected with each other, and connected to a deeper sense of, yes, we're here, we're doing it, it's inevitable. The more of us that wake up, the more of us that wake up, and the more of us that wake up, the more of us that wake up, and that process can happen very quickly as we reach this climactic moment. I'm Sammy Vanek. This is what I'm all about. This is what the channel is all about. If you enjoyed this, I invite you to subscribe and stay connected. Whoa. I also conduct interviews with amazing humans. If you want to see a video about awakening through shaking with Jeannie, she's amazing. I recommend this video here. If you want to see my video about dance and how dance has changed my life from a soul's perspective, check out this video here. Hi, Blackhawk. You want this chip? Go fetch. Good chicken.